Welcome to Fall Asleep channel. Tonight, journey through how human bodies and behavior slowly change over time through daily life. A calm narrative with interesting facts. If you enjoy peaceful stories like this, you are warmly invited to subscribe and return whenever you need to slow down. Now allow yourself to get comfortable and enjoy quiet and pleasant rest. Let's begin. Long before written records or settled towns, small groups moved across open land following water and seasonal plants. Bodies were already changing in quiet ways that made long walks easier and freed the hands for carrying and shaping simple tools. Hips and legs shifted to support upright movement. Spines curved to balance weight above the feet, and feet formed arches that stored energy with each step. Walking became steady and efficient rather than fast and short, allowing distance to be covered without constant strain, with hands no longer needed for moving. Fingers became more flexible and precise. Stones were shaped by repeated tapping to form sharp edges, not perfect or smooth, but useful for cutting and scraping. These early tools did not appear all at once. They improved slowly across many generations as small adjustments proved helpful and were repeated. Each slight improvement made daily tasks a little easier, preparing food, shaping wood, and processing plants and animal material with less effort. Diet also shifted during this long period. Softer cooked food became more common after control of fire spread. Cooking made roots and meat easier to chew and digest, releasing more energy with less work from the jaw and gut. Teeth became smaller over time, and faces shortened as chewing demands changed. Energy saved from digestion could support other growing tissues, including the brain, which slowly increased in size and complexity across many thousands of years, not in sudden leaps, but through gradual expansion tied to nutrition and survival needs. Larger brains did not only mean more thinking, they also meant longer development. Infants were born less mature and needed more care. Childhood lasted longer, allowing time for learning and social bonding. This encouraged stronger group connections and shared knowledge. Simple skills were observed and copied. Tool use improved, and communication sounds became more varied and controlled. Not yet language as known today, but flexible vocal patterns that helped coordinate group movement and share attention. As populations spread into different climates, bodies adjusted again. Skin pigmentation shifted to balance sunlight exposure and vitamin production. Thicker body shapes conserved heat in colder regions, while longer limbs helped release heat in warmer areas. These changes did not stop movement. Groups continued to migrate along coastlines, river valleys, and open plains, following familiar paths shaped by water and food availability, carrying tools and shared habits across wide distances. Different populations sometimes met and mixed, exchanging not only ideas and techniques but also genes. Traces of this mixing remain today in small variations across modern populations, showing that movement and contact were common rather than rare. No single straight line of descent, but many paths that crossed and rejoined over long spans of time, shaping a wide family tree rather than a narrow chain. Fire also changed daily rhythm. Warmth allowed rest during cooler nights. Light extended waking hours, and cooking improved food safety and energy value. Simple shelters and clothing followed, not complex at first, but enough to reduce exposure and conserve body heat. These small protections supported survival in changing environments and allowed further travel into regions that would have been difficult without them. Over time, tools diversified. Some were shaped for cutting, others for grinding, later for throwing and hunting at a distance. Hands adapted to repeated fine movements. Wrists became more flexible, and shoulder joints supported wider motion ranges. making throwing and lifting more efficient. These physical traits developed alongside behavior, each reinforcing the other through repeated use across generations. Communication continued to grow more structured. Facial muscles became more controlled. Breathing patterns adapted to support longer vocal sounds, and brain areas linked to sound and movement coordination became more connected. These changes supported clearer signaling within groups, helping organize shared activity and social bonds. Cooperation became a strong advantage, increasing survival through shared effort rather than individual strength. And while daily life remained focused on finding food and shelter, slow biological change continued in the background, shaped by climate shifts, food sources, and social structure, not directed by any single goal, but guided by small advantages that helped groups persist a little longer in each place they settled, preparing the ground for further movement and gradual transformation that continued without pause as time carried these populations forward into new landscapes and new conditions. Over many more generations, patterns of living became more stable in some regions. Repeated use of the same camps and pathways created familiar landscapes shaped by daily movement. Bones adapted to regular walking and carrying. Joints became well suited for steady motion rather than short bursts of speed. This supported long journeys between food sources and seasonal shelters without exhausting the body. Endurance mattered more than strength, and steady pacing became part of survival. Tools continued to change in small steps. Stone edges were refined. Handles were added using wood and plant fibers. Different shapes served different tasks. Scraping hides, cutting meat, shaping branches. Nothing appeared suddenly. Each new form grew out of older ones as repeated use revealed what worked better. Learning passed quietly through observation rather than instruction. Younger members copied movements and techniques simply by spending time near experienced hands. With growing group size, social awareness became more important. Recognizing faces, tracking relationships, and remembering past interactions helped maintain cooperation. Brain regions linked to memory and emotional signals expanded gradually, supporting trust and shared behavior. Conflict still existed, but groups that stayed connected tended to last longer, increasing the chances that their habits and traits continued forward. Movement across continents followed changing climate. As ice expanded and retreated, open land bridges appeared and disappeared, guiding travel routes between large land areas. Coastal paths allowed steady access to food from water and shore, supporting slow migration over thousands of years. Footprints and tools left behind show repeated waves of movement rather than single journeys. In colder zones, clothing became more refined. Animal skins were shaped and stitched using bone tools, covering reduced heat loss and allowed longer stays in harsh seasons. Shelters grew more organized, using wood frames and layered coverings to trap warmth. These structures did not last long in the landscape, but the skills to build them moved with each group. Spreading through shared contact and gradual learning, food gathering also grew more flexible. Plants were selected by season, storage methods improved, and hunting tools allowed targeting different animals at various distances. Throwing tools increased reach and safety, reducing the need for close contact with large animals. This lowered injury risk and supported steadier food supply. Over time, symbolic behavior appeared. Simple markings, arranged objects, and repeated patterns in tools suggest that meaning and memory were becoming part of daily life. These practices strengthened group identity and helped pass shared traditions across generations, shaping behavior beyond immediate survival needs. Language continued to grow through small changes in sound control and brain coordination. Throat structure and breathing patterns allowed longer and more varied vocal signals. These supported clearer communication about location, danger, and shared plans. Speech did not replace gesture and expression, it joined them, forming richer systems of social connection that improved cooperation and learning. Children remained dependent for longer periods, requiring shared care within groups. This encouraged stable social bonds and knowledge transfer. Skills learned during long childhood stayed useful across adult life, reinforcing continuity of tradition and technique. Genetic diversity increased as populations mixed and moved. Small differences in appearance and physiology reflected local conditions rather than strict separation. Flexibility remained central, allowing adaptation without dividing groups into fixed types. And through all of this, change never followed a straight path. Some traits appeared, faded, and returned in new forms, shaped by shifting environments and available resources. What remained constant was movement, learning, and gradual adjustment, carrying human populations forward, not through sudden leaps, but through countless small steps that accumulated quietly over long stretches of time as each generation lived within the rhythm of its own landscape and passed forward what had slowly proven useful. Later still, some groups began spending longer periods in the same areas where rivers flooded regularly and soil stayed rich. Plants that once were only gathered started to be tended and protected. Seeds that fell near camps were noticed, and over many seasons, certain plants became more common near where people stayed. This was not a single invention, but a slow shift in attention and habit. Hands that once only searched also began to shape growing spaces, clearing small patches and returning to them again and again, with more predictable food nearby. Daily movement patterns changed. Long seasonal travel became shorter and more local. Bones show slight shifts in muscle use and joint stress that match these new routines. Carrying loads became more common. Lifting and bending repeated through daily work, shaping posture and strength in different ways than long-distance walking had before. Settled life also changed social structure. Groups grew larger and stayed together longer. Shared spaces encouraged new roles and tasks. Some focused on making tools, others on preparing food, caring for children, or shaping materials for shelter and clothing. This division was not fixed, but flexible and based on age and ability, allowing skills to spread through observation rather than formal teaching. Homes became more solid over time. First simple frames and coverings, later walls made from earth and plant fibers. These structures shaped daily rhythm, offering protection from heat and cold, and creating indoor spaces where people gathered and worked. This changed how sound traveled, how light entered living areas, and how long activities could continue after sunset, subtly shaping communication and social interaction. Food preparation also became more varied. Grinding stones appear more often, showing increased use of grains and seeds. Cooking methods expanded, with slow heating and storage becoming common. This steadier food supply supported larger populations and allowed more energy to be directed toward growth and learning. Children benefited from softer foods and reliable meals, supporting longer development and stronger health. As populations grew, contact between neighboring groups increased. Ideas and materials moved along trade paths. Shells from coasts appear far inland. Stone types traveled long distances from their original sources, showing that exchange networks existed long before written history. These connections spread techniques and styles, helping similar tools and habits appear across wide regions without direct migration. Art and decoration became more visible in daily objects. Patterns carved into bone, paint applied to walls and tools, clothing decorated with shells and fibers. These choices strengthened group identity and memory. linking individuals to shared symbols that carried meaning across generations. Language continued to expand alongside social complexity. More words and sounds supported discussion of plans, shared stories, and knowledge of seasons and places. Grammar slowly developed as communication needed to describe past and future events more clearly. This supported teaching and cooperation in larger groups that no longer relied only on direct observation. With growing communities, disease exposure also changed. Closer living increased contact, and immune systems adapted over time to repeated challenges. Genetic traits supporting resistance became more common in certain regions, showing that biology continued adjusting even as culture grew more complex. Through all these changes, the body did not stop evolving. Digestion adapted to new foods. Jaw shape shifted again. Muscle use changed with daily work, and brain networks continued refining social and planning abilities. Evolution did not end when tools improved or homes became stable. It continued quietly within changing lifestyles and environments, and so the long story of human development remained one of steady adaptation, shaped by climate, food, movement, and social connection, never driven by a single moment of change, but by slow accumulation of small differences that spread through families and communities over many generations, guiding bodies and behaviors together as people learned to live within new patterns while still carrying forward traits shaped by far older ways of moving across open land and following the seasons. Over still more time, daily life became shaped by shared routines that followed seasons rather than constant travel. Planting and harvest created yearly cycles that guided movement and work. Bodies adapted to repeated bending and lifting. Hands grew skilled at fine movements used for shaping tools, weaving fibers, and preparing food. Joints and muscles adjusted to these patterns through use across entire lifetimes, while children learned the same movements simply by growing up within them. With growing settlements, cooperation required new ways to organize space and time. Paths formed between homes and fields. Storage areas protected food from weather and animals, and shared meeting places supported exchange of ideas and materials. These physical layouts shaped social behavior, encouraging regular interaction and strengthening long-term group bonds. Technology continued changing in gradual steps. Metal replaced stone in some tools, improving strength and durability, but also changing how tasks were performed. Cutting became easier, farming expanded, and building methods improved. This altered daily effort and supported further population growth. Yet bodies still carried features shaped by much older movement patterns, showing that biology changes more slowly than tools. Long-distance travel did not disappear. It changed form. Trade routes linked distant regions through repeated journeys rather than full migration. People moved goods and stories across wide areas, spreading language patterns, farming techniques, and decorative styles. These networks created shared cultural elements while allowing local variation to remain strong. As societies grew larger, social learning became more complex. Rules and traditions guided behavior, helping groups stay stable across generations. Storytelling preserved memory of past events and shared values, shaping behavior beyond immediate survival needs. These traditions influenced cooperation and decision-making, becoming part of how groups organized daily life. Biological change continued alongside cultural growth. Resistance to certain diseases increased in regions where exposure was common. Digestion adapted to diets rich in grains or dairy. Small genetic shifts improved survival within specific environments, showing that natural selection remained active even as technology expanded. Communication systems also continued refining. Writing appeared in some regions as a way to store information beyond memory. This changed how knowledge was shared, allowing learning to move across time as well as space. Yet spoken language and gesture remained central to everyday interaction, guiding emotion and cooperation through face-to-face contact. Urban life introduced new challenges and opportunities. Denser populations required shared water systems, waste removal, and coordinated building. These conditions shaped public health and daily habits, influencing growth patterns and physical development through nutrition and activity. Despite rapid cultural change, the basic structure of the body remained shaped by deep evolutionary history. Upright walking, flexible hands, social brains, and long childhood continued to define development. Modern lifestyles built upon these foundations rather than replacing them, showing continuity beneath surface differences. And through all these layers of change, from early walking across open land to living in large settlements, evolution remained a quiet background process, adjusting biology through small shifts that followed patterns of survival and reproduction, always responding to environment and behavior together. So the long movement of human development continued without a clear boundary between past and present, carrying forward traits shaped by ancient climates and daily routines, while absorbing new habits created by tools, language, and social systems, all woven into a slow and steady pattern of change that still continues in subtle ways within bodies shaped by many paths taken across time and place. And even in recent centuries, movement between regions continued shaping variation in appearance and health. Travel across oceans mixed populations that had long developed separately, bringing together different immune histories and genetic traits. This mixing increased diversity within communities and helped spread resistance to some illnesses, while also introducing new challenges that shaped survival patterns in changing environments. Daily activity also shifted as work became less physical for many. Long periods of sitting replaced long walks and manual labor. Muscles adapted in different ways, posture changed, and energy use patterns shifted again. Yet the body still carried structures built for steady movement, showing how older designs remain present even when behavior changes faster than biology can follow. Nutrition patterns changed with global food exchange. Crops once limited to certain climates spread widely, increasing food variety but also changing balance of nutrients. Digestive systems adapted slowly to these shifts, while cultural habits influenced meal timing and food preparation, blending biological needs with learned behavior. Sleep and daily timing also adjusted as artificial light extended waking hours. Internal clocks adapted through gradual changes in hormone timing and neural rhythms. Yet sensitivity to light and darkness remained strong, showing that ancient environmental signals still guide modern physiology beneath new routines. Communication technology changed how information travels. Knowledge now moves faster than people do, shaping behavior and social organization in new ways. But learning through observation and shared experience remains central, especially in early development when social cues guide movement, speech, and emotional regulation. Brains continue developing in response to environment and education. Neural connections adjust based on repeated use, showing that learning remains one of the most powerful drivers of change within a single lifetime. Even while genetic evolution proceeds much more slowly across generations, cultural practices now influence health as much as climate once did. Habits of movement, diet, and social interaction shape long-term well-being, and these habits are passed through families and communities just as earlier survival skills once were, continuing the pattern of shared adaptation through behavior. Medical knowledge has reduced some survival pressures, allowing many traits to persist that once might have limited lifespan. This changes how selection works, but does not stop biological variation from continuing. It only shifts which traits become more common over time, guided by new environments and technologies rather than by ancient landscapes alone. Through all these recent changes, the same basic processes remain at work: reproduction, variation, and gradual adjustment to surroundings. Evolution does not pause because tools improve or societies grow complex. It continues quietly wherever differences influence survival and family lines across generations. And so the long arc of human change remains open, shaped by movement, learning, climate, culture, and biology acting together, carrying forward bodies built for walking, hands built for shaping, and minds built for connection, adapting not toward a final form, but through constant small shifts that follow the paths people take and the worlds they build around them, continuing as a calm and steady process that moves through time without needing to announce itself or reach an endpoint. As this long and gentle movement continues across generations, what remains most consistent is not any single way of living, but the steady ability to adjust to whatever patterns become normal. When routines change, bodies follow slowly. When environments shift, behavior adapts first, and biology follows later. And when new tools appear, hands and minds learn to use them in ways shaped by older structures that were built for very different tasks long ago. Memory and teaching remain central to how change spreads. Children absorb movement, speech, and problem-solving simply by sharing space with older members of their group. Skills pass forward not only through instruction, but through rhythm and repetition, shaping posture, timing, and social awareness through everyday activity rather than formal lessons. This quiet transfer of behavior continues guiding development just as it did when early tools were shaped by repeated use beside open fires. Even the pace of life influences biology over time. Daily stress patterns affect hormone balance, sleep timing shapes internal clocks, and long-term habits influence heart and muscle conditioning. These signals accumulate slowly, shaping health and performance through consistent exposure rather than through rare extremes, showing that ordinary days leave deeper marks than dramatic moments. Across wide populations, genetic change remains subtle and slow, but always present. Small differences continue appearing, mixing through families and communities, and responding to new conditions in ways that cannot be seen within a single lifetime. Only across many generations when tiny shifts begin to align into noticeable trends. Through this constant blending of learning and inheritance, no sharp line separates ancient populations from modern ones. The same bodies that once followed rivers and coastlines now move through cities and digital networks, still guided by senses tuned for daylight, social contact, and steady movement, still shaped by structures that formed under open skies and changing seasons. And so the story of human evolution remains open and unfinished, not as a tale of reaching perfection, but as a record of ongoing adjustment, guided by environment, cooperation, and routine, carrying forward upright posture, flexible hands, social awareness, and long development into futures shaped by choices that are still being made every day. Change continues quietly, through walking paths taken again and again, through words shared and remembered, through food grown and prepared, and through the steady shaping of bodies by the lives they live, moving forward without urgency, without final form, and without clear ending. Only the calm continuation of adaptation that has always followed where people go and how they choose to live within the worlds they build around themselves. And as this quiet continuation carries forward into future generations, the same patterns of slow adjustment remain in place. Environments change through climate shifts and new technologies, and daily habits respond first, shaping how bodies are used and how minds focus attention. Then biology follows at its own steady pace, guided by which traits fit best with new routines and social structures. Nutrition continues influencing growth and development. Access to varied food supports different body sizes and energy use patterns, while timing of meals shapes internal clocks and hormone release. These effects do not create sudden transformation. They guide small shifts that accumulate across years and across family lines, reinforcing how deeply daily life shapes long-term biology. Movement patterns remain central. Walking less or moving in different ways changes muscle balance, joint loading, and cardiovascular conditioning. Bodies adjust gradually to these habits, redistributing strength and flexibility according to what is most often required, showing that even subtle shifts in routine leave physical traces when repeated long enough. Social behavior continues shaping stress response and emotional regulation. Cooperation and shared support reduce prolonged activation, while isolation and conflict increase physiological load. These patterns influence immune function and long-term health, linking social structure directly with biological outcomes in ways that echo earlier dependence on group protection and shared effort. Learning environments also shape brain development across childhood and beyond. Repeated problem solving, language exposure, and social interaction refine neural networks that support attention and memory. These changes occur within a lifetime, yet they influence which traits and behaviors become more common across generations through patterns of success and opportunity. Technology will continue altering how hands, eyes, and posture are used. Tools change, but fine motor control remains important. Visual focus remains central, and communication remains tied to facial movement and voice. Bodies adapt to these new demands using structures shaped by far older forms of work and interaction, adjusting gradually rather than rebuilding from the ground up. Genetic diversity will remain a source of flexibility. Migration and mixing continue spreading traits across populations, reducing isolation and allowing variation to support adaptation in changing conditions. This ongoing blending reflects the same movement patterns that once carried early groups across coastlines and open land, now carried through modern travel and connected societies. Through all of this, no part of the human form becomes fixed or final. Change remains quiet and continuous, guided by survival, cooperation, and everyday habit rather than by dramatic events. Most adjustments occur so slowly that they can only be seen when looking far back across time rather than within a single lifetime. And so the long process of human evolution continues as it always has, through ordinary lives lived in changing environments, shaped by how people move, eat, learn, and connect, carried forward by children who grow into the conditions of their world and pass those patterns onward, adding their own small variations to a story that remains open, ongoing, and gently unfolding without pause as time continues its steady flow across generations. As this long chain of small changes continues stretching forward, the link between past and future remains carried inside ordinary bodies and habits. Bones still respond to how often they are loaded. Muscles still respond to how often they are used. And attention still follows the patterns shaped by repeated experience. Even when daily life looks very different from the open plains and coastal paths of earlier populations, the same biological rules remain quietly at work, adjusting form and function through steady exposure rather than sudden shift. Memory and culture continue guiding behavior faster than biology can change. Skills are taught, customs are shared, and tools are improved within a single lifetime. While physical traits respond only across many generations, This difference in speed allows rapid adaptation to new conditions while keeping deeper structure stable enough to support learning and cooperation. The balance between stability and change remains central. Too little variation limits adjustment, too much makes continuity difficult, and so populations move within wide but steady ranges, carrying forward traits that support flexibility rather than specialization, upright movement that works across many terrains, hands that handle many kinds of tools, and minds that learn from others rather than relying only on instinct. Even the future of development will follow this same pattern, shaped less by dramatic breakthroughs and more by countless small choices repeated each day. How space is built, how food is grown and shared, how children learn and play, and how communities support one another. These routines will quietly influence which traits become more common and which fade, continuing the slow exchange between behavior and biology that has always guided change. No single moment defines what comes next, just as no single moment defined what came before. Every generation inherits a body shaped by ancient movement and recent habit at the same time, and then reshapes it slightly through the way life is lived, passing forward both structure and variation together. And within this steady continuity, evolution remains present not as a distant concept, but as an everyday process, unfolding through growth, learning, and adaptation that follow ordinary rhythms of living, carrying forward hands that still build and touch, legs that still walk across new kinds of ground, and minds that still seek connection and meaning within social groups. So the long path of human change does not arrive at a final form. It moves quietly through time, shaped by landscapes both natural and built, guided by shared experience, and sustained by small differences that accumulate gently rather than all at once, continuing without pause, without clear boundary, and without conclusion. Only the calm motion of adaptation that flows onward as each generation adds its own brief chapter to a much longer story that keeps unfolding beyond any single horizon. And even as this motion carries onward, variation remains the quiet engine beneath every visible change. No two individuals develop in exactly the same way. Small differences in growth rate, strength, coordination, and sensitivity appear in every generation. Most remain subtle. Some become useful in certain settings. And over long spans of time, these small differences shape which traits become more common within changing environments. Daily interaction with surroundings continues guiding attention and movement. City streets, open parks, indoor spaces, and natural landscapes each encourage different patterns of walking, lifting, reaching, and resting. Bodies respond to what is repeated most often, adjusting posture and muscle balance in ways that reflect routine rather than design. Learning remains deeply tied to social contact. Voices, gestures, and shared tasks shape brain networks that guide behavior long after childhood. These learned patterns influence cooperation and problem solving, which in turn affect survival and opportunity. Linking cultural habits back to biological outcomes through long and indirect paths, climate will continue shifting slowly across decades and centuries, influencing food systems, settlement patterns, and exposure to heat and cold. Bodies will respond through familiar pathways of adaptation and selection, not through sudden redesign, but through the same gradual changes in physiology and behavior that have always followed environmental pressure. And so the process continues quietly, guided by repetition, by shared living, and by the steady feedback between how life is lived and how bodies respond to it, never stopping, never settling into a fixed form. only moving forward through gentle adjustment that remains woven into everyday experience as time carries each new generation into its own version of the world, shaped by those who came before. And as these quiet patterns extend forward through time, the future remains shaped by the same simple forces that guided the past: movement, nourishment, learning, and connection, each one leaving small marks on growing bodies and developing minds, shaping strength, endurance, coordination, and emotional balance through daily use rather than through rare events. Technology may change the surface of life, but biology continues responding to routine. Posture follows how often bodies bend and reach. Vision follows how long eyes focus at different distances, and sleep rhythms follow exposure to light and social timing. These signals guide internal clocks and hormone cycles that still reflect ancient sensitivity to daylight and rest. Even when nights are bright and schedules are complex, families and communities remain the main environments where development unfolds. Voices heard each day shape language patterns. Shared meals shape nutrition and metabolism, and emotional cues guide how stress responses form and resolve. These early conditions influence lifelong health and behavior, and they also influence which traits and habits are passed forward to future generations. Variation will always remain part of the picture. New combinations of traits appear through genetic mixing, and new skills appear through learning, together creating endless diversity within shared biological structure. This diversity allows adaptation without needing radical change, offering many small paths through shifting environments rather than a single fixed solution. No clear boundary separates biology from culture. Each shapes the other through constant feedback. Habits influence health. Health influences ability. Ability influences opportunity, and opportunity influences which habits become common. This loop continues quietly through ordinary choices made every day, linking present behavior with long-term change in ways that cannot be traced to single causes or moments. And so the long movement of human evolution remains open, not moving toward completion, not guided by a final design, only shaped by ongoing adjustment to changing surroundings and shared ways of living, carried forward by children who grow into the patterns of their time and then reshape those patterns in small ways of their own. What continues is not a destination, but a process, steady, patient, and deeply connected to daily life, unfolding through walking paths, working hands, speaking voices, and learning minds, all shaped by environments that keep changing and by social bonds that keep forming. And within this gentle continuity, the story remains unfinished by nature, extending beyond any single era or invention, moving forward through quiet adaptation that does not announce itself, only persists, shaping bodies and behavior together as time flows onward without pause, without final form, and without an ending that can be clearly marked. Only the calm and steady motion of change continuing into whatever comes next. And even as time stretches farther ahead, the same quiet patterns remain at work within every new setting. Muscles respond to how often they carry weight. Lungs respond to how often breathing deepens or stays shallow, and circulation adjusts to how much movement fills the day. These responses do not wait for generations to appear. They begin within individual lives, shaping strength and endurance in ways that also influence long-term health and family lines. Brain development continues reflecting social surroundings. Repeated conversation shapes language pathways. Shared attention shapes learning speed, and emotional cues guide how regulation systems mature. These effects remain strongest in early years, but learning and neural adjustment continue across adulthood as well. allowing behavior to shift with changing environments even while genetic structure remains mostly stable. Food systems will continue evolving. New crops, new preparation methods, and changing availability will shape digestion and metabolism through the same slow feedback that once followed the spread of cooking and farming. Enzyme activity, gut microbes, and appetite regulation respond to what is eaten most often, adjusting gradually through repeated exposure rather than sudden redesign. Movement through space will also keep changing form. Walking paths may become shorter or longer. Transportation may reduce physical demand or shift it into different patterns, yet the body will still answer to what is practiced most often, building strength where it is used and losing it where it is not, maintaining the same principle of adaptation that once shaped long legs for distance and flexible shoulders for throwing. Social bonds will remain central to survival and well-being. Cooperation supports shared care, shared learning, and emotional stability, and these social conditions influence hormone regulation and immune response in ways that directly affect long-term health, linking community structure with biological outcomes through pathways that remain as active now as they were when survival depended on shared shelter and pooled effort. No matter how complex tools become, development still begins with simple acts: lifting, walking, speaking, and observing. These early experiences shape posture, coordination, and attention in ways that persist across life, showing that deep biological structure continues to rely on basic movement and interaction rather than on advanced technology alone. Variation will always be present. New combinations of traits, new learning styles, and new social roles will appear with each generation. This diversity supports flexibility and resilience when conditions shift, ensuring that no single way of living becomes the only possible path forward. And so the long pattern continues: biology responding to behavior, behavior responding to environment, and environment shaped by collective choices, all moving together through gradual feedback rather than sudden change, carrying forward bodies built for motion, hands built for shaping, and minds built for connection. What unfolds next will follow the same quiet logic that shaped what came before, not through dramatic transformation, but through small differences repeated often, shaping health, movement, and learning in ways that only become visible when seen across many years and many lives. And within this steady unfolding, the story of human evolution remains open and ongoing, not waiting for a final chapter, only continuing through everyday activity and shared experience, flowing gently forward as time keeps moving, carrying adaptation along with it in the same calm and patient rhythm that has guided change since the earliest steps across open land. And even as time stretches farther ahead, the same quiet patterns remain at work within every new setting. Muscles respond to how often they carry weight. Lungs respond to how often breathing deepens or stays shallow. And circulation adjusts to how much movement fills the day. These responses do not wait for generations to appear. They begin within individual lives, shaping strength and endurance in ways that also influence long-term health and family lines. Brain development continues reflecting social surroundings. Repeated conversation shapes language pathways. Shared attention shapes learning speed, and emotional cues guide how regulation systems mature. These effects remain strongest in early years, but learning and neural adjustment continue across adulthood as well, allowing behavior to shift with changing environments even while genetic structure remains mostly stable. Food systems will continue evolving. New crops, new preparation methods, and changing availability will shape digestion and metabolism through the same slow feedback that once followed the spread of cooking and farming. Enzyme activity, Gut microbes and appetite regulation respond to what is eaten most often, adjusting gradually through repeated exposure rather than sudden redesign. Movement through space will also keep changing form. Walking paths may become shorter or longer. Transportation may reduce physical demand or shift it into different patterns, yet the body will still answer to what is practiced most often, building strength where it is used and losing it where it is not, maintaining the same principle of adaptation that once shaped long legs for distance and flexible shoulders for throwing. Social bonds will remain central to survival and well-being. Cooperation supports shared care, shared learning, and emotional stability, and these social conditions influence hormone regulation and immune response in ways that directly affect long-term health. Linking community structure with biological outcomes through pathways that remain as active now as they were when survival depended on shared shelter and pooled effort. No matter how complex tools become, development still begins with simple acts: lifting, walking, speaking, and observing. These early experiences shape posture, coordination, and attention in ways that persist across life, showing that deep biological structure continues to rely on basic movement and interaction rather than on advanced technology alone. Variation will always be present. New combinations of traits, new learning styles, and new social roles will appear with each generation. This diversity supports flexibility and resilience when conditions shift, ensuring that no single way of living becomes the only possible path forward. And so the long pattern continues: biology responding to behavior, behavior responding to environment, and environment shaped by collective choices, all moving together through gradual feedback rather than sudden change, carrying forward bodies built for motion, hands built for shaping, and minds built for connection. What unfolds next will follow the same quiet logic that shaped what came before, not through dramatic transformation, but through small differences repeated often, shaping health, movement, and learning in ways that only become visible when seen across many years and many lives. And within this steady unfolding, the story of human evolution remains open and ongoing, not waiting for a final chapter, only continuing through everyday activity and shared experience, flowing gently forward as time keeps moving, carrying adaptation along with it in the same calm and patient rhythm that has guided change since the earliest steps across open land. And even as this long rhythm continues shaping bodies and behavior, the most powerful influences remain the simplest ones: movement that repeats, food that nourishes day after day, voices that guide early learning, and shared work that builds connection. These ordinary elements quietly guide posture, coordination, attention, and emotional balance in ways that echo across entire lifetimes and into the next generation. Adaptation does not wait for dramatic change. It follows routine. When routines shift, physiology follows, slowly and steadily, reshaping strength, endurance, and sensitivity according to what is practiced most often. This process remains gentle and persistent rather than fast or extreme, allowing stability to remain while adjustment continues in the background. Even in rapidly changing societies, early development still relies on the same foundations: touch, movement, sound, and social exchange. These experiences guide how nervous systems organize themselves, shaping stress response, curiosity, and learning capacity in ways that continue influencing behavior long after childhood ends. Environmental pressures may appear different now, but bodies still respond through familiar pathways. Temperature affects circulation and energy use. Light affects sleep timing, and air quality affects respiratory patterns. These signals guide internal regulation in the same gradual way they always have, reinforcing the link between surroundings and physiology through daily exposure rather than sudden events. And while culture can change quickly, biology follows at its own pace. Genetic variation continues mixing through populations, offering small differences that sometimes align with new conditions and sometimes fade quietly. Maintaining flexibility rather than pushing toward a single outcome, the balance between continuity and change remains central. Ancient traits persist because they still support learning, cooperation, and survival across many environments, while new behaviors shape how those traits are expressed in daily life, creating endless combinations within the same basic structure of upright posture, flexible hands, and social awareness. No clear dividing line separates what once was from what is becoming. Every generation carries features shaped by distant landscapes as well as by recent habits, and then reshapes them slightly through how life is lived, passing forward both memory and modification together. And so the process continues without pause, guided by repetition, shaped by connection, and sustained by small adjustments that accumulate quietly rather than all at once. The long movement of human evolution remains present in every step taken, every word learned, and every skill practiced, flowing forward through time in calm continuity, never fixed, never finished, only continuing as the shared pattern of life adapts gently to whatever new surroundings and ways of living unfold next. And as this steady flow continues carrying forward through ordinary days and shared lives, the body keeps responding to what it meets most often. Repeated posture shapes balance, repeated effort shapes strength, repeated rest shapes recovery, and repeated connection shapes emotional stability. These patterns do not demand attention to do their work. They simply unfold through daily rhythm and leave their quiet imprint over time. Learning remains a bridge between generations. Gestures, sounds, and habits pass from one set of hands and voices to the next, shaping movement and thought long before written memory is involved. This steady transfer allows groups to adapt quickly through behavior, while deeper biological change continues more slowly in the background, keeping both continuity and flexibility alive at the same time. Surroundings will keep shifting in ways that cannot be fully predicted. Climates adjust, cities grow and change, new tools appear, and new social structures form. Yet the same basic systems guide adaptation within each new setting. Circulation adjusts to temperature, muscles adjust to use, attention adjusts to social patterns, and internal timing adjusts to light and routine, following familiar pathways of response that remain grounded in everyday experience. Variation will always remain present. New combinations of traits and abilities will continue appearing, providing many possible ways to meet changing conditions. This diversity protects against narrow dependence on any single path and allows populations to remain responsive when routines shift or environments change again. And so the long movement of human change stays gentle and open, not driven by sudden leaps, but by steady alignment between bodies and the worlds they inhabit, shaped by how people live together, how they move through space, and how they share knowledge and care across generations. What continues is not a finished design, but a living process that remains active wherever life is lived, adjusting quietly through habit and experience, carrying forward upright bodies, skilled hands, and social minds into futures shaped by choices still unfolding. And within this calm continuity, the path of human evolution does not close or conclude. It remains in motion, guided by the same slow forces that once shaped early walking and simple tools, now shaping posture at desks, hands on devices, voices across distances, and learning within new kinds of communities, all part of the same gentle adaptation that moves forward through time without pause, without final form, and without need for an ending, only the steady continuation of change as life goes on. And still this motion carries on beneath every surface change, shaped by rhythms that remain older than any city or tool, breathing that follows quiet internal timing, walking that balances weight over curved spines and steady hips, hands that learn through repetition and adjust through touch. These patterns continue guiding how bodies grow and maintain themselves across years of ordinary use. Attention also follows familiar paths, drawn toward voices, movement, and social cues that once signaled safety and cooperation. These instincts remain active even in modern settings, shaping how learning unfolds and how stress resolves, linking present behavior with neural pathways that formed under very different skies and seasons. Growth and aging both remain part of the same adaptive story. Tissues respond to repair signals, muscles adjust to load, and metabolism shifts with changing needs across the lifespan. These processes do not aim to preserve youth or resist time. They aim to support function within current conditions, adjusting quietly as circumstances change across families and communities. Stories and skills continue passing forward through shared activity, cooking, building, speaking, creating. These traditions shape posture, coordination, and attention just as much as they shape culture, reinforcing the link between daily practice and biological response. Even the way people rest and recover reflects long history. Bodies still respond best to cycles of activity and release, to light and darkness, to social connection and quiet intervals. Internal clocks continue following patterns shaped long before artificial schedules appeared, guiding hormone timing and repair processes in ways that remain steady beneath changing routines. And so adaptation continues without effort or direction, guided by what is repeated and what is shared, allowing stability and change to exist together rather than in conflict. Bodies remain prepared to shift when habits shift, and habits remain shaped by environments that keep evolving. No single point marks where the past ends and the present begins. Every moment carries traces of earlier movement, earlier learning, and earlier survival strategies that still influence how balance is kept and how connection is formed. These traces remain active not as memories, but as structure and timing within living systems. And within this quiet continuity, human evolution remains present, not as a distant event, but as an ongoing process woven into everyday life, unfolding through posture, nutrition, social bonds, and learning, shaping future generations through the same calm feedback that shaped earlier ones. So the long path continues, not toward a final form, but through steady alignment with changing worlds, carried forward by ordinary actions repeated across days and years, guided by simple biological responses to routine and environment, moving on through time in the same gentle rhythm that has always carried bodies and minds forward together, without pause, without destination, only the soft persistence of change continuing as life continues to unfold. And as this gentle movement keeps unfolding through ordinary moments, nothing needs to change quickly for change to keep happening. Slow growth, slow learning, and slow adjustment remain enough to shape bodies and communities over long stretches of time. The same quiet forces continue working whether life feels busy or calm, guiding balance through repetition rather than through urgency. Each new generation begins with bodies already shaped by long history, upright posture, flexible hands, sensitive hearing, and social awareness. And then those bodies are shaped again by the patterns they meet every day, the way space is used, the the way food is prepared, the way voices and gestures carry meaning. All of these guide development through steady exposure rather than sudden transformation. Even as tools and environments keep changing, the basic needs of movement, connection, rest, and nourishment remain central. Internal systems continue responding to light and dark, effort and release, safety and social contact, adjusting chemistry and rhythm to match the conditions that repeat most often, preserving stability while allowing gradual response to whatever becomes familiar. And through this steady exchange between habit and biology, the future remains open in the same quiet way the past once was, shaped not by sharp turning points, but by countless small choices and shared routines that slowly guide form and function together. So the long process of human change continues without announcement, without milestone, and without final shape to reach, carried forward through walking paths taken again and again, through hands learning new tools while keeping old patterns of touch, through minds that still grow within social circles and shared attention, all moving within the same calm rhythm of adjustment that has guided life across time. And in this steady rhythm, there is no clear ending to arrive at, only ongoing movement shaped by experience and environment together, bodies and behaviors shifting quietly as conditions shift, each generation adding its own small influence to a much longer flow that remains patient and open, continuing gently forward as time moves on, without pause, without destination, and without needing to conclude. And even within this open and steady flow, subtle patterns continue forming that shape how future changes will unfold. Routines practiced today become the baseline that tomorrow will respond to, guiding strength, coordination, attention, and social habits through quiet repetition. These baselines matter more than rare events because they set the conditions that biology and behavior treat as normal. The body continues learning from these patterns without keeping record of them in words. Joints remember load through tissue strength, muscles remember effort through fiber balance, and the nervous system remembers emotional tone through regulation pathways that grow stronger with repeated calm or repeated tension. These memories are physical and functional, guiding response long after the moment has passed. And while awareness may focus on immediate goals and plans, deeper systems continue working through slow cycles of repair and adjustment, replacing cells, tuning chemical balance, and reshaping connections that support future movement and learning. These cycles do not hurry. They follow internal timing that has remained steady across many forms of life long before human societies appeared. Change, therefore, remains layered, fast on the surface, slow underneath. Habits may shift within months, skills within years, and physical traits across generations, all connected through feedback that allows each layer to influence the next without sudden breaks, keeping continuity even as visible life transforms again and again. And so adaptation continues not as a response to crisis alone, but as an ongoing dialogue between what is familiar and what is new, allowing stability and flexibility to share the same space rather than compete for it. This balance supports survival not through perfection, but through readiness to adjust when routines gradually shift. No future condition will end this process. No technology or environment will remove the need for bodies to respond to how they are used and how they are supported by social connection. As long as movement, nourishment, learning, and care remain part of life, evolution will remain present in quiet form, shaping function through repeated experience rather than through sudden design. And so the long movement carries on, guided by time rather than by destination, shaped by countless ordinary actions that leave gentle marks on growing bodies and developing minds, continuing the same calm exchange between biology and behavior that began long before memory and will continue long after any single moment fades. Within this steady unfolding, nothing stands still, yet nothing rushes. Change arrives through small adjustments that accumulate without noise, and life continues adapting through the same patient rhythm that has always guided it forward, softly, steadily, and without final pause as the next generation steps into patterns that will quietly shape what comes after. And as this patient rhythm carries on through years that blend quietly into decades, the influence of daily life keeps guiding long-term direction more than any sudden event ever could. Repeated movement shapes balance and strength. Repeated learning shapes attention and memory. Repeated connection shapes emotional regulation and social trust. These influences work slowly and steadily, leaving traces that only become visible when time has passed and patterns have settled. The body continues adjusting not toward perfection, but toward usefulness within familiar conditions. Posture reflects common tasks, endurance reflects common distances, and coordination reflects common tools and spaces. This practical shaping allows function to remain matched to real life rather than to ideal form, supporting stability through fit rather than through symmetry. Minds develop in the same practical way. Thought follows language, language follows social rhythm, and social rhythm follows how people live and work together. These layers shape perception and decision-making in ways that feel natural within each generation, even when they differ greatly from those that came before. Yet beneath these surface differences, the same biological foundations remain active. Circulation responding to effort and rest, metabolism responding to nourishment and timing, nervous systems responding to safety and connection. These responses follow internal rules that change slowly and provide continuity across shifting cultures and landscapes. So the story of human change continues as a blend of sameness and difference, old structures supporting new behaviors, and new behaviors gradually shaping how old structures are used, neither replacing the other, but working together through quiet feedback that allows both to coexist and adapt over long spans of time. What lies ahead will not arrive all at once. It will form through countless small adjustments guided by routine and shared experience, shaping bodies and minds through repetition rather than through design, continuing the same slow pattern that once shaped walking paths across open ground and later shaped work within fields and towns, now shaping movement and attention within environments that are still unfolding. And within this gentle continuity, there is no final chapter waiting to close the process, only ongoing motion shaped by how people live, learn, and care for one another, carried forward by children who grow into their world and then quietly change it through their own habits and choices, adding their own small influence to the long and patient flow of adaptation. So change remains present in every ordinary moment, in steps taken without thought, in skills practiced without planning, and in connections formed without intention, all guiding the slow movement of evolution forward, not toward an end, but onward through time in calm and steady motion that continues as long as life continues to grow and adjust within the worlds it creates and inhabits. And as this long sequence of quiet change continues without needing a signal or a boundary, what endures is the steady link between living and becoming, bodies shaped by how they are used, minds shaped by how they learn, and communities shaped by how they share space and care. These connections remain constant even as tools, landscapes, and customs shift around them. Every generation carries traces of earlier paths taken across land and time, upright movement, careful hands, long learning periods, and strong social bonds, all formed under conditions that no longer exist in the same way, yet still guiding development within modern life, showing how deeply past environments remain present within present bodies, and then each generation adds its own small adjustments, new routines, new forms of work, new ways of communicating and cooperating, shaping posture, attention, and emotional rhythm through daily practice, leaving quiet marks that will become part of what the next generation grows into without ever noticing their origin. Nothing in this process rushes, and nothing stands still. Adaptation unfolds through steady repetition and shared experience, guiding form and function through gentle alignment with whatever conditions become familiar, keeping flexibility alive while preserving structures that support learning and connection across many kinds of environments. So the movement of human evolution continues as it always has, not toward a final shape, not toward an ending, but through ongoing response to life as it is lived, carried forward by ordinary actions repeated across days and years, shaped by care, movement, learning, and shared attention, all flowing together in quiet coordination that remains open to whatever comes next. And within this calm continuity, there is no moment where change stops or begins again, only a steady unfolding that passes from one generation to the next, guided by time rather than by design, and sustained by the same gentle rhythm of adjustment that has carried bodies and minds forward since the earliest steps were taken across open ground, continuing softly, patiently, and without conclusion.